come up with 10 tips that worked for me. What works for me worked. I guess I'm still in school. Oh shit, I'm still in school. I should probably get on Blackboard. My bad. What works for me might not work for you, so this is just my personal experience. Do you like that little disclaimer? No one come for me, okay? All right. Number 1, talk to your doctor. I tried to make these tips and tricks universal so that they could apply to whether you're in grade school, middle school, high school, or college. But I'll let you know if some are more specific towards certain grades or not. I think talking to your doctor, especially if you're newly diagnosed, and coming up with a plan of action for your school day, especially if you're still in high school or middle school, you can't skip class if you need to because you're having a medical emergency. So I think talking to your doctor and making sure you have prescriptions in place for emergency inhalers, or if you're a diabetic, having emergency preparedness stuff at the nurse, and really making sure everything is in ship shape. So talk to your doctor. Next on the list, meet with accommodations. I think all colleges have disability services, and I recommend meeting with them and talking to them about what your needs are, what your anxieties are with starting the school year, especially if you're a freshman or new to the school. Also getting a 504 plan or an ILP or an IEP with your school. But meeting with accommodations and communicating your needs, what you anticipate to be issues in the classroom and what would be helpful. Next up. Oh, this one came from the depths of my brain. I think it is helpful to write out a little quick script for different scenarios. So, for example, talking to a teacher when you need to go to the bathroom and blow up a toilet. When I say blow up a toilet, especially in the context of school, what I'm talking about is having explosive diarrhea, not illegal activities, okay? But if you have explosive enough diarrhea, maybe it should be illegal. Ha ha ha. Thank you very much. I'm going to insert a sound effect there where it makes it sound like someone's laughing at my jokes. Coming up with a script for emergency situations or needing to go to the nurse, or if someone asks, for example, like in high school, I would get whole body rashes, and I just came up with a script to explain myself instead of worrying about it each time. I would be like, oh yeah, that, no one knows what it is, but it's there. Obviously, what I said was more profound than that. But coming up with a script to talk to your teachers or to talk to friends or just explain anything you've got going on. I know especially with type 1 diabetics, I think like the beeping and giving themselves shots in class can be a topic of conversation. And even though it's nobody's business, people still ask. Coming up with a script for explaining nice and simply what's going on, I think can be helpful, but you do you. This is one of my more genius ideas. I had something in middle school, and still have it, called an emergency preparedness bag. This was a bag that I would call like my go bag kind of thing, and it would have emergency medications, for example, but then like Advil, Tylenol, Tums, things like that. And then I always like kept deodorant and anything that you want to make sure you have on you that you can throw from backpack to purse, etc., or your sleepover bag, I think can be helpful at eliminating stress and anxiety. And we're all big fans of that, right? So, emergency preparedness bag. And then having like a backup set of meds in the nurse's office, I think is important too. If you have a nurse, obviously. My motto when it comes to school and life in general, even though I don't always stick to this motto, is be proactive. I'll do a little cheer for you. Be proactive. Be proactive. Wow, so original. Thank you. The first week of school, I go up to all my teachers after class or when there's free time, and I just give them a little snippet of my situation and what they can anticipate from me. For example, with narcolepsy, a big one is like I'll go up to my teacher and be like, hi, my name is Maddie Shanka. I'm excited to be in your class, and I just wanted to let you know that I have lupus and narcolepsy. Of course, you don't have to disclose anything if you don't want to. This is just what I do, and it works for me, and I'm kind of an open book if you can't tell. So I have lupus and narcolepsy. I miss school quite a bit. I am a patient at Mayo Clinic, and so I have to go up there for doctor's appointments. But my main thing is I just wanted to let you know that if I am asleep in class, it's not because I'm not interested in what you're saying. It's because I'm disabled. I am pretty good at communicating and advocating for myself. I just wanted to introduce myself and let you know a little bit about me. And that's what I do. When I first started having those conversations, now I'm pretty good at it rolling off the tongue, but when I first started doing this is where the script comes in handy. It's just kind of laying out what information you want to tell people, if any. I think explaining to your teachers before an incident happens can really help people understand and be more sympathetic to your cause. Always being open about your limitations for me has typically given my grades more leeway, I think. So, if you communicate with your teacher from the beginning of the year about what's going on, they're typically at the end of the year when you haven't taken 3 tests or whatever, they're typically going to be kinder and more likely to help you out in getting your grades up than if you have not communicated and they just think you ditch class. Especially in college, I think if you're absent from class a lot, people just think you're partying too hardy and they don't like that. Number 6, I would come up with a routine, a stress relief routine as part of my day since I was in grade school. So every day I would come home from school and I would watch 30 minutes of TV and eat a snack before doing homework. That is an example. But also just really having a routine, especially in college, for where you can go to just kind of decompress from your day, I think can be really helpful, because one of the number one things that causes your disease to flare is stress. Finger guns. So I think having kind of a plan for those really stressful times can be really helpful. But that's just me. Another thing I do, and I went to a pretty small college relatively and was in a sorority, so I typically always had someone in my sorority in one of my classes. Growing up, I went to Catholic school, so it was smaller again, and I kind of was with the same kids K through 12. But I would advise making a friend in each class. Again, you don't have to do this by any means, but it worked for me. Making a friend in each class and kind of explaining, especially for me, I have cataplexy, so I always would make a friend, which was something that wasn't super difficult for me because I can't shut up. So I would make a friend and I'd be like, yo, my name's Maddie and I have narcolepsy with cataplexy, and that means that sometimes I lose muscle control and just can't stand or whatever. And this helped me in a variety of ways. One, I used that friend as a resource, so if I missed class, then I could get notes from them and they would help me keep up on homework. We often became study buddies. And then if I was asleep in the middle of the class and the professor is worried about me or thinks that I'm just slacking, then you have someone that knows your situation and is more likely to advocate for you if something's going on. It's just like having an emergency contact in person, in my opinion. Another thing is making calculated effort. Life is crazy, and if you're familiar with the spoon theory, then this isn't going to be super new to you, but if you're not, then pay attention, I guess. I think really understanding everything that you have on your plate and not pushing it too hard in any one area is important. For example, I am a perfectionist. I really like to have all A's, but last semester my life was crazy, and so I was, instead of trying for all A's, I gave myself permission to try for all B's, and just really trying to reserve efforts for everything you've got going on in life, especially if you're flared. I think it's important to be kind to yourself and set proper expectations, even though it sucks and you shouldn't have to set lower expectations for yourself. But it's just how the cookie crumbles. Number 9, be your own advocate. No one is going to be your champion and no one's going to be your advocate unless you do it yourself first. Especially, I would say, high school and up, because people don't want to hear from your parents. They want to hear from you. So being your own advocate, and this ties into my last piece of advice, which I already kind of said, of being proactive. Being proactive and being your own advocate, I think, can go a long way. I know everyone's going to have a great school year, fingers crossed. If you want to feel supported this school year, kind of like you're wearing a nice, comfy Push up bra. Join our support group. Sign-ups end at the end of August, and we currently have support groups for middle school, high school, college. I'm calling it adultish, which is like in between college and like starting a family and getting married. And then we have like an actual adult support group also. That can be a real helpful tool through the school year, having people that understand your circumstances but are also in the same kind of stage of life as you, especially, you know, high school and college. It's kind of just a crazy time in general, and there's so much going on. All right, good luck with school. Bye.